Coronation Street is set to deliver a tense and gripping storyline as Todd Grimshaw finds himself trapped once again when Theo Silverton makes a dramatic and threatening return. A high-stakes and emotionally charged confrontation is looming, with Theo potentially facing his downfall as he is named among the 5 possible victims in the show's upcoming Murder Week storyline. Just when Todd begins to believe he has finally escaped the control of his abusive partner, events take a dangerous turn, leading to what could be their final and most explosive encounter. According to insider hints, Theo was never likely to let Todd walk away without resistance, suggesting that their conflict was always destined to reach a dramatic climax. As Todd prepares to leave Weatherfield behind and start a new chapter by traveling to Thailand, he briefly returns to his former home to collect the last of his belongings. Believing the coast is clear, he cautiously enters the flat, hoping to avoid any confrontation. However, his worst fears are realized when Theo suddenly appears, trapping him inside and leaving Todd face to face with the person he has been trying to escape. With Theo's anger escalating, Todd finds himself in a terrifying and seemingly inescapable situation, unsure of how to protect himself or get out safely. At a critical moment, George Shuttleworth arrives, having followed Todd to ensure he was safe. Acting quickly, George steps in to help Todd, and together they manage to overpower Theo before making a hurried escape from the flat. After freeing themselves from Theo's immediate threat, Todd and George report the incident to the police. Given that Theo is already under investigation for abusive behavior, approaching Todd and issuing threats would represent a serious violation of his bail conditions. Kit Green is then tasked with locating Theo and bringing him in. However, when authorities arrive at the flat, Theo has already disappeared, raising further tension about his whereabouts and intentions. Deeply shaken by the encounter, Todd decides to leave immediately and heads for the airport in a taxi, determined to put as much distance as possible between himself and the danger. But just as he begins to leave the street behind, he realizes that he has forgotten his phone. In a moment of urgency, he asks the driver to stop so he can go back and retrieve it. Racing back toward his home, Todd's sense of relief quickly turns to fear when he is confronted by a chilling sight. Someone is already holding his phone. That person, of course, is Theo. Now cornered for a second time within hours, Todd once again finds himself at the mercy of his tormentor. The situation raises a crucial question. What drastic steps might Todd be forced to take in order to finally escape Theo's control for good? New Coronation Street spoilers for next week promise a series of explosive and intense developments as the ITV soap dives deeper into its dramatic whodunit murder mystery, revealing the final hours of each potential victim. As the storyline continues to unfold, viewers will see the narrative shift back in time to the day of the killing, offering a closer look at what each suspect was doing in the lead-up to the fatal. This unique structure allows audiences to follow the perspective of each character, gradually piecing together the truth behind the crime. It has already been confirmed that 5 characters are at risk, with Megan Walsh, Theo Silverton, Maggie Driscoll, Jodie Ramsay, and Carl Webster all facing the possibility of being killed. The upcoming episodes will revisit the wedding celebrations of Carla Connor and Lisa Swain, with the opening installments beginning at the moment the newlyweds arrive at Underworld to celebrate. Each episode will then rewind to focus on one character's final day, exploring the events that may have led to their potential demise. One of the most gripping storylines involves Todd Grimshaw, who is left shaken when Theo unexpectedly appears at the shop flat carrying luggage for what seems to be a planned trip to Thailand. Fortunately, George Shuttleworth arrives just in time, and together they manage to subdue Theo before escaping. Following the incident, Todd and George report everything to Kit Green, but when authorities check the flat, Theo has already vanished without a trace. Desperate to get away, Todd jumps into a taxi heading for the airport, only to realize he has left his phone behind, forcing him to return. As he retraces his steps along the street, Todd comes face to face with Theo once again, this time holding the missing phone. The encounter raises the stakes even higher, leaving viewers wondering what extreme measures Todd might have to take to finally escape his tormentor. Elsewhere, Debbie Webster admits to Ronnie Bailey and Kevin Webster that she paid Carl Webster to leave Weatherfield. However, before making his exit, Carl attempts to settle unfinished business, causing further conflict as he antagonizes Abby Webster, Tyrone Dobbs, Theo, and Kevin. After receiving an angry message from Kevin, Carl reacts in a dangerous and vindictive way by secretly tampering with the brakes on Kevin's car at the garage. This reckless act raises serious questions about whether he will be caught and what consequences might follow. Meanwhile, Jodie Ramsay appears ready to leave Weatherfield behind, but her plans are interrupted when she hears Shona Platt screaming outside. Rushing to the scene, she finds her sister being confronted by two men who have clearly come looking for her. Realizing the danger, Jodie decides to hand over a hard drive, seemingly attempting to resolve the situation. Despite this, Shona urges her to stay, visibly shaken by everything that is happening. However, when Jodie discovers evidence that Shona had lied about never receiving her letter, her emotions take a darker turn, and she becomes determined to take revenge. In the process, David Platt is unintentionally drawn into the conflict, becoming collateral damage as Jodie takes drastic steps in an attempt to destroy their marriage. Later, left alone and unsettled, Jodie wanders through the street before slipping away into the night, unaware that someone may be watching her movements. In another scene, Jodie is seen sitting alone on the swings in the precinct, clearly frustrated and blaming herself for how events have unfolded. When an unknown figure approaches, she is startled, raising the possibility that her past actions or recent decisions may finally be catching up with her in a dangerous way. Eva Price, Leanne Battersby, and Toya Battersby confront Megan Walsh by forcefully taking her into the salon flat, where they attempt to pressure and intimidate her into confessing to her actions. Despite their efforts, Megan refuses to admit any wrongdoing and instead deliberately provokes them, causing tensions to escalate into yet another physical altercation. During the heated scuffle, Megan is struck and ends up with a bloodied nose. Afterwards, Megan shifts tactics and attempts to portray herself as the victim in order to win sympathy from Daniel Osborne, but he remains unconvinced and refuses to be manipulated by her version of events. Once she is thrown out into the ginnel, Megan overhears a private and intense conversation between Maggie Driscoll and Melanie Driscoll. Seizing the opportunity, she secretly records their discussion on her phone, capturing potentially incriminating information related to the circumstances surrounding Maggie's husband's death. After realizing she was recorded, Maggie hunts her down and confronts Megan about the recording, but when Megan reveals a secret of her own, Maggie sees red. Will the feud between the two result in one of them plummeting to their death?